Greetings, I'm Stan Prueitt. If you want to know more about me, you can bore yourself with looking at my bio. Otherwise, I'm just some guy standing in front of you talking to you about project management and setting up a PMO. Hey, welcome to the PMO Virtual Summit. This is a really exciting opportunity we have to talk about PMOs and project management, stuff like that. I'm going to be covering the topic of leadership. And oh yeah, there's lots of books, including my own, about leadership and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to focus more on leadership and how to properly set up a PMO and what leaders need to set up a PMO. Let me get things going here. So these are some of the things I'm going to cover. I'm going to do my Vanna White imitation. So PMO leadership, you've got leadership traits, leadership principles, leadership process, and if we have time, we'll get into a leadership methodology for setting up a PMO. Some tools that you can use to gather your team together and institute a PMO, even in a difficult climate. Some cultures and some organizations are not very, how do you say it? Not very open to PMO, and they don't know the benefits. So you got to help them understand the benefits and help them convert over to what things PMO can bring to them. So first, let's go right into it. We don't have a whole lot of time, so right there, some important leadership traits. What do you need to have as a leader? Now, see, a lot of people believe that leadership is a position on top of the org chart. You know, if you have an org chart here, you're up there at the top of the org chart, you have a little box, and by having that little box, you are bestowed some sort of almighty power to lead or to manage people. And it's something like some farcical aquatic ceremony where some witch is distributing swords, Excalibur, and you have Excalibur, therefore you are now endowed to lead. But no, it's not about hierarchy on an org chart. Leadership is something that is a character trait. It is a gift for some people and a learned behavior for others. Anyone can be a leader. Even in the lower echelons of an organization, you can lead through influence, persuasion, example, and service. Most people think that, hey, I'm on that org chart, I'm up there, I'm a boss, and now I can, by mandate, order people to do things. And that's what I call the brute squad approach. Now, the brute squad is a guy, a bunch of guys come and say, all right, you're going to do exactly what we tell you to do. That's a lot of leadership, or I should say management approaches. The bosses of an organization will say, you will do what I tell you to do because I sign your check, right? Well, that's not the best way to manage an organization, because you'll get buy-in for a while. You'll get that top-down buy-in, but after a while people start revolting. It's called the silent rebellion or the silent veto. People stop buying into what's going on in the organization, and they do it just because they have to, not because they want to. And that's a huge difference between a boss or a manager and a leader. So one of my favorite sayings is, you don't manage people, you manage cattle. People must be led. And on the front cover of my book, I've got this graphic here where you see the boss going, go, let's go do, right? Now all the slaves are pulling away. But in reality, a leader is one who's out in front and saying, let's go. Let's do this. If you really think about it, a leader is a servant. Some of the greatest leaders in this world have been servants of all. And that's my next slide here. It said, this is one of my favorite quotes, it says, if servitude is beneath you, leadership is beyond you. And that is so true, because think about it. What are the most valuable and most important resources of an organization? The CEO? The VPs? The top managers? Are they the most important people of an organization? No. The value-adding resources are the people who are building the widgets, the people who are writing code, the people fabricating the parts. Those are the value-adding resources. They add value into the workflow that produces an output for the customers. It's the project managers managing. It's the controllers doing their job. Those are the important resources. The upper management is not a value-adding resource. Oh, I know, but people are going to go, oh, what are you saying, Stan? What are you saying? They really aren't. They don't add direct value into the value stream of the products being produced. They're necessary in a minimalist sort of way. So a true leader is one who understands that and realizes that the value-adding resources are the most important to the organization. Therefore, a leader's job is to serve them. Help them make their jobs better. Help them make themselves more efficient. Give them the tools they need, the competencies they need, the education they need, the support they need, removing barriers. That's what leadership is about. That's what makes a successful PMO. So I like this graphic here. You know, you got the team pulling this large block, and there's a barrier in the way, and so what do managers or leaders do? They remove the barriers. They make your work better, simpler, more efficient, more effective. They support and serve the value-adding resources. That is key to leadership. This is one of my favorite things. A true leader treats everyone as if they were important. Because they are. They are that value-adding resource. So, you know, it blows my mind. I come to work every day. I drive into this big parking garage. And every day I drive in and I see the parking attendant. And I always say hi. Hey, how you doing? I know them by name. One guy's name is Mafi. And I'm always saying hi and talking to them. And then during Christmas I'll bring them some hot chocolate and things like that. Well, it's interesting because one evening I was walking out to my car and these two parking attendants came up to me and they handed me a thank you card. And it was very touching. I opened it up and they said in the card, they said, out of the thousands of people that come by every day, you are the only person that stops to say hello. I was baffled. Nobody else talks to the parking attendants? No, I was the only one. But that's key leadership, is that you treat everyone as if they're important. You should know the custodians' names and every employee's names. You should know what makes them tick, makes them an employee. That's what's important, treating everyone as equals. Not being, hey, I'm the manager, you know, and I'm going to manage you all. But no, you guys are important. We're part of a cohesive team. Here's another thing, another trait that leaders have to have, and memorize this acronym. It's called LUDA. Okay, LUDA is listen, understand, decide, and act. That's the way you communicate with your employees. So let's dive into it. So listen to understand, not to reply. So many times in our communication, as we listen to an employee or a teammate or whatever, we listen and we're already thinking of what we're going to say, right? We're ready to just jump in and go, right? The Navajo taught me, being raised in New Mexico, the Navajo taught me that you listen to understand. And at first, for some of us outsiders, it's a little uncomfortable. You're talking to one of the elders, and when you're talking to them, they're sitting there very quietly listening. And then when you finish your sentence, there's this very long, dramatic pause. Now, typically, the outsider type of people who are not used to it, they're uncomfortable with that silence, so they start speaking some more to fill in that gap because the silence is uncomfortable, and so they constantly just talk. Well, the elders are sitting there listening because they're listening, and then after you finish speaking, they formulate their reply. So they're truly listening to understand what you're saying, not thinking about how they're going to respond to you. Also, in understanding what they're saying, remember, everyone has a different perspective. I love this graphic. You see a cylinder, but from different views, you see the shadows. One shadow is a circle, one shadow is a square. They may be seeing a square while you see a circle. So listen to understand so that you know what their perspective is. What do they see in the conversation? Then after you've talked, you've counseled together, then decide. Sometimes those decisions are best done as a team. And then act. You as a leader say, those are great comments, those are great ideas, let's go this way. All right? That's LUDA. Another important factor or trait that a leader has to have is vision. They have to have the overarching vision, the high-level mission and objectives constantly in their mind, so they can lead the team towards those objectives to accomplish them. Setting goals, they know what the goals are, and they focus the team on those goals. Now, the team can help decide how to reach those goals, but the leader truly is the one that says, that is our goal, that is our objective, that is where we're going. Now, team, help me, let's counsel together, help me decide how we're going to get there. That's effective leadership. So also we're going to talk about understanding behavior. This is a trait that leaders need to have, is how to understand why people do what they do. Now right here, plain and simple, the reason to understand behavior of your organization's people is to understand why behaviors do occur or do not occur, to identify strategies to encourage the desired behaviors and discourage the undesirable behaviors, to understand how to change culture. When you understand human behavior, you can change a culture in an organization, because the culture of an organization is made up of the individuals. And when you start seeing a commonality in the theme or the behaviors of the people, you can start to understand the culture, and therefore you can start to understand how to change that culture. Instead of just like mandating again, let's go do this, we must have this. You've got to understand what makes them tick so that you can apply the proper influence to change that culture. So when we're talking about human behavior, this is the theory part of the lesson. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so here's a person in the natural state. When we are born into this world, we are born with only a few things. Some of us have hair, some of us don't. But anyways, aside from that, when you are born into this world in this natural state, you're born with a bunch of natural talents, abilities, and time. That's all you have. Everyone has some time in this world. Everyone has a different amount of time in this world, but it's a very precious commodity. It can't be traded, sold, bartered, exchanged, lengthened, shortened. So we've got some time, but we also have these natural abilities. For example, natural abilities. My younger brother never had a piano lesson in his life, and he couldn't read music, but one day he sat down to a piano and started playing. He could just hear what he wanted to play, and he started playing. I mean, he was a genius. He had a natural ability to play the piano. It drove me nuts. I didn't have that natural talent, but I could gain that talent if I would exchange some of my valuable time to develop that talent, right? So that's what we're born into this world with, and now when we come into this world, we have needs. We have needs of life, which of course is food, shelter, clothing, so forth. But what's really key to the needs of this world and this life is we have to have love and purpose. Purpose. That's where a leader can focus on. How can they fulfill this basic human need and give people purpose? If you give them purpose, they have passion in what they do, and they will perform better. You've got to give them purpose. But anyways, so in this natural state, each human being has a mirror image. This little square depicts a mirror, and this guy's looking into the mirror. That's how we see ourselves. This is our belief window, our self-image. How do we see who we are and what we are? Now, the inputs into that belief window are our beliefs and principles, either taught by our surroundings, our family, our friends. We have certain beliefs, and that's how we see ourselves. And those beliefs are impacted by rules of the world, rules of the organization, rules of the world, rules in the home, religious rules. Those rules also help shape our behavior. Now, from this belief window, how we see ourselves impacted by rules, we start to act. And these patterns of behavior are a cause of the reflection of who we are, right? So we act based on who we think we are. If we think we're, confident, we're really positive, we'll go and do some great things. If we're insecure, we may not. We may hold back. If we don't understand right from wrong, we may make some wrong decisions. And of course, the patterns of behavior create a cause and effect, the consequences. You do something and there's always a consequence. You do something positive and there's usually a positive consequence, a reward. If you do something negative, there's a negative consequence or a penalty or a punishment. And from this, we gain knowledge and experience. We learn from it. We have lessons learned. And those are then outputs back into our belief window. Right? So people realize, they learn from their experiences. They go, oh, that was a bad experience. I touched that stove, it was hot. I'm not going to do that again. Most people, that works. Hey, I did this great job. I got rewarded. It was awesome. I'm a great person. That's kind of this belief pattern. Now, leadership, how does that fold into it? Understanding human behavior, you have the ABCs of leadership. The ABCs of leadership are, or the ABCs of human behavior are, there's an antecedent, a behavior, and a consequence. Of course, the antecedent is what leads up and shapes that behavior. And of course, the consequence is that what follows the behavior that shapes future behaviors, either positive or negative. Now, most leaders, most managers, focus on the consequence side. You know, we have these performance appraisals. The employee comes in and we say, hey, good job, reward, pat on the back, here's a star trophy, way! Or we say, hey, shame on you. You didn't get the last quarter sales up, or da-da-da-da, right? And we have negative consequences. That's where we focus our leadership. What we don't do is we don't focus on the antecedent. Let me get my slides going here. This is this area that we don't focus on as managers and leaders. We don't focus on what causes the behavior. Let me share a story with you. I was taking over an organization and we were going to create a PMO in a very large organization of about 15,000 employees. And in this organization, there's about 166 project controllers, 44 project managers, and I was taking over this organization. I was supposed to build a PMO, and the guy came up to me, this one former manager came up to me, and he was telling me about the employees. Now, what I was going to do is I invite every employee into my office to get to know them, understand what makes them tick. And this guy gave me a warning. Oh, watch out for so-and-so. She is a basket case. Oh my goodness. You know, I wish we could fire her because she's so negative and she's so mean. She's just so grumpy and she's always finding fault and her performance is poor. Da, da, da. He just gave me this litany of bad things about her. And I'm like, hey, dude, just shh. No, you don't need to be telling me that stuff. Okay? That's inappropriate. Well, anyway, so this lady came into my office. And I knew that this was the lady who everyone was saying is so horrible. And she sat down and sure enough, she was very grumpy. She sat down, kind of folded her arms like, oh great, the new manager of the month. Oh, what can I do for you? Oh brother, I'm just going to outlive you all. Well, before we got into it, I said to her, hey, so what do you enjoy doing? And she goes, well, I'm a project controller. And I said, no, not at work. What do you do at home? What are some of your hobbies, your interests, things like that? And she's a little taken back. And she says, well, I like to quilt. I says, quilt? She goes, yeah, I'm in a quilter's guild. I didn't even know there's such thing existed. So she told me about her quilting. And I said, show me some pictures. So she pulled up her laptop and pulled up some pictures of her quilts. And I said, those are amazing. Man, how long does it take? So I asked her questions. And I listened to understand what she was talking about. That night, I went home and I studied quilting. I learned everything I could about quilting. So then when I interfaced with her again, we could talk about quilting. And in fact, I asked her to bring some of her quilts into a team meeting to just kind of show everybody. And suddenly she seemed different. She seemed more excited about coming to work. And she showed people the quilts. And people engaged with her and realized, hey, this is a fellow human being. She has interests and passions and loves, and this stuff is really cool. Right? Short story, to make it a little condensed, she ended up being one of my best team leads because we changed her perception of herself, we changed her perception of work, we gave her purpose, passion, and drive, and she rewarded the organization with being an awesome leader. So that's why leaders need to understand the antecedent, what causes their behavior. Go back and help them out. Give them purpose and drive so that they will reflect that drive in the organization. All right, so here's some leadership principles. Leaders must provide the foundation of every employee's satisfaction. Here's another acronym for you. It's called DCOM. We're in DCOM 4, DCOM 4. No, it's not DEFCOM. And it's not DCOM, the rodent killer. This is an acronym that every employee has to have this to succeed. And this is what DCOM is. DCOM is direction, competence, opportunity, and motivation. Of course, every employee needs direction. That's what a leader does, is provide that direction, the mission, the objective. They also need to provide competence. People must have the proper skills, talents, knowledge, ability, training, education to do the job, right? And of course, they've got to have opportunity. Opportunity is they must have the opportunity to perform the work. And opportunity includes everything from the lights on to a warm environment to the proper tools, a desk, some sort of software to do their scheduling. That's what they need. It's the equipment, the time, the place. That's opportunity. And of course, motivation. People need to know why they're excited about what they do. They need to have that passion for doing the job. They need to feel ownership. They need to feel part of the solution. They want to perform better when they're happy and excited. Now, there's a lot of motivational speakers who talk a great deal about this, so I'm not going to go in depth, but let's go into direction. Direction is, I relate this to the military and or SWAT teams or special operations teams. By the way, this good-looking guy over here, that's me. Anyways, you've got to have clear direction. Now, when a special operations team is going to go into a job, or say a SWAT team is going into a building, they don't just charge in there and go and do something. No, they've got to have the proper direction. They've got to have schematics of the building. They've got to know where they're going. You know, for example, if you were an operator on a team and your leader came up, the lieutenant came in and says, "All right, guys, we're going to go in. The helicopters are going to drop us behind enemy lines. We're going to go find some contact, and then we're going to get the mission done, and we're going to get out of there." And okay, that's the plan. Good luck with that. Where's your confidence level? You know, you've seen in Hollywood when they portray special operations, you know, mission is a go, confidence is high. Yeah, they use this confidence factor. They want to know the confidence of their ability to succeed in the mission. Is confidence high? Is confidence low? Or is there zero confidence? Well, if you have proper direction, your confidence is going to be much higher. That same operating team, the guy comes in, all right, at 0500 hours, you're going to be flown in by black helicopter. You're going to be dropped off at this location. You're going to find at the dock a guy in a red shirt. He'll be your contact. He will then provide transportation to your next objective. And then at such and such, at 1645, we're going to be extracting you by helicopter, pop green smoke. Hey, does that sound more exciting? More informative? More succeedable? If you were that operator? Yeah, this mission is totally planned out. My confidence is high. I've been given the proper direction. So direction also includes things like roles and responsibilities. That's part of direction. I've seen so many organizations where you have product managers and project controllers and business analysts, and they all kind of do a job, and some of them overlap, and some parts of the job process are being missed because people don't really understand their role and responsibility. They don't understand where they fit in the flow of work. All right, so it's very important to make sure that they understand that. Put together some diagrams of what they do, some RACI diagrams. You know, help people understand where they are, where they fit in the process. Map it out. Where they fit in the overall organization, what everyone else does. If I know what everybody else does, then it helps me define my own job. What to do, when to do, how we communicate in an organization, those are things that are important in giving direction for your employees. Competence, let's talk about that. Competence, skill sets must match the job. And if people don't have those skills, it's up to the leader to ensure they do. That also motivates people. When you come and say, hey, we want to train you in Primavera. Hey, we want to train you in this. Hey, we want to give you this skill. Doesn't it make them feel valuable, make them feel wanted, make them feel more excited about being at work? Hey, these guys care about me. Retention goes way up. And so you give them the skills they need and continue to build them as an employee, and they'll be more loyal to the organization. So put together personal growth plan, challenge them. Even if it's a mundane job, you know, the project controls, challenge them with other things. Help them grow, help them develop. Course opportunity. Give employees the right tools, hardware, software, workspace, etc. Give them the right time. Resource loading. Put your faith in them. You know, believe in them. Build them up. And then communicate. Give them the opportunity to communicate. Let them have an open door policy in your office. I always did. And sometimes I would drop a meeting if someone came into my office and they needed to talk about something. That's giving them the opportunity to vent, the opportunity to share, the opportunity to learn, the opportunity for me to understand the barriers that they have so that I can remove them and make them a better employee. If you don't, you will fail. Colin Powell was one of my mentors and a great hero to me. So he said this: the day soldiers stop bringing you their problems is the day that you have stopped leading them. They either lost confidence that you can help them or have concluded that you do not care. Either case is a failure of leadership. And going on. If there was a litmus test, the majority of CEOs would fail. One, they would build so many barriers to upward communication that the very idea of someone lower in the hierarchy looking up to a leader for help is ludicrous. Two, the corporate culture they foster often defines asking for help as a weakness or failure. So people cover up their gaps of their organization, and the organization suffers accordingly. Real leaders make themselves accessible and available. They show concern for the efforts and challenges faced by the underlings, even as they demand high standards. Accordingly, they are more likely to create an environment where problems analysis replaces blame. Colin Powell. So motivation. I'm not going to go big into this because motivation has been covered by so many people, but you've got to motivate people. And these are some of the things that motivate people. Good leaders, success both organizationally and personal, recognition, reward, unity, personal value. So motivation, Colin Powell once again said, a leader's perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. Okay? That ripple effect of a leader's enthusiasm and optimism is awesome. So it impacts the cynicism and pessimism in an organization. Leaders who whine and blame engender those same behaviors among their colleagues. I'm not talking stoically accepting organizational stupidity and performance incompetence with a what me worry smile. I'm talking about a gung-ho attitude that says we can change things here. We can achieve awesome goals. We can be the best. Spare me the grim litany of the realist. Give me the unrealistic aspirations of the optimist any day. Whoa, hoorah! Oh, that sounds awesome, doesn't it? I'm motivated right now. So, of course, motivation, identifying success, giving recognition. And I'm talking more of not just hey, you did a great job, here's a little trophy, here's a little crystal star to put up on your shelves. Hey, here's a gift certificate to Olive Garden, those kind of things. No, what's really important, those things are nice. But real motivation comes to the day-to-day leadership, finding the good in people. The day-to-day praises of what they do. Every day, find good in people. Hey, that's an awesome slide. Hey, great presentation. Hey, good schedule. Hey, good, hey, Build people up through a daily, continual encouragement. That's better than just a trophy sitting on the shelf. And of course, corporate success can bring motivation, unity, do a lot of group team efforts and team activities, bring people together. This was something fun that we used to do. Once a quarter in New Mexico, everyone has some sort of family secret recipe. The food in New Mexico is so good. But anyways, every quarter I'd have a division potluck. We'd bring everyone together for lunch in a gymnasium, an old school gymnasium, and people would bring in food, that old family recipes. Oh, it's so good. And then we'd have this big luncheon together. And we'd talk about things. It was a great way to bring everyone together. It was very difficult to get work done that morning, though I will admit. As you're walking around the office, all these cubicles, people have crock pots with, you know, pozole and enchiladas cooking away, and then you got great salsas, and oh, I'm just dying to have some of that stuff. But it was a great way to bring everyone together, and what a blast. So think about that as you motivate people. Motivation by organization. The only way that they feel that they can be motivated or become better is if they move up in the org chart. I got to get that management position. No, that's backwards thinking. What a good leader will do is turn that org chart upside down. He'll show the value-adding resources, the guys who are building the widgets, making the code, writing the schedules, managing the problem. He'll put them here, and the leadership's down here serving them. Make them feel like they are the most important resource of the organization, because they are. The leaders are servants to them. They support the workforce. They make them more effective and better. So show an org chart like that and talk about them as the most important resource in the project or in the organization. So again, here's the leadership process. As you're building a PMO or you're putting an organization together, here's a strategy for you. Define the direction. Executive summaries, objectives, SWOT. I don't know if you're familiar with SWOT, but a SWOT analysis is in the organization you identify your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats or the risks. And we're all, you know, as project management type, we're all about risk analysis and risk mitigation. So you define the directions, and then as a team counsel together. Identify your customers. Every PMO has a multitude of different types of customers. External, internal, direct, non-direct. So identify your customers and how we are going to support them. Define the outcomes, put together a value statement, and prioritize the work. Then organize the work, and we project management people, we're all about organizing work. We gotta throw some schedules together, put a plan together. Oh yeah, we love that. So your work hierarchy, implementation plan, resource plan, the schedules of course. Then build the capability if you're lacking it. Look for weaknesses, develop a plan to turn weaknesses into strengths, and then accomplish the work. Get the work done and measure performance. As you're measuring performance, return and report. Always return and report. It keeps accountability in there, and it helps us judge and measure ourselves. And so as we report on the success, we look for improvements. How can we improve? Then we go back into this circle. We've got some ideas of where we can improve. Let's define those, define the direction, adjust the direction, make slight changes in the way we're approaching things, and then from there, counsel together, organize the work, and go back through the process. So that's in simplistic form, kind of the leadership process. Now attached here, you'll see this is kind of the ramp of defining maturity, putting together a climate of change, because that's what you've got to do. If you're putting in a PMO, you've got to change the culture. So again, define the need or opportunity, build the guiding team, and focus on the right vision. That's part of the focus phase. The next phase is engage and enable the organization, bringing everybody together. Make things simple, simplify, unify, then plan, communicate, create. Then once you start getting things going, you go into the measure and implementation sustain phase. Hey, sounds familiar? Yeah, it does. So these are some tools, and on the back end of this slide presentation, there's a methodology of how you can pull together a fast start team to put a PMO in place. And I'm not going to go over those. You can look at the slides on your own. But to recap, the important thing about leadership is servitude. You must serve those people in your team or in your organization. That's true leadership. Not managed by mandate, but serve. And remember, LUDA, listen, to understand, decide, and then act. And DECOM, give your team direction, the competence, the opportunity, and the motivation. Those are some of the soft leadership skills any good leader needs to support and develop an organization, especially if you're starting up a PMO or you're maintaining a PMO. Those are some of the traits you need. Hey, I've got a book out there called Unleash the Leader that covers a lot of this stuff. You can look at that, get more information, or feel free to email me or dial 1-900 looking for trouble. No, just kidding. Just give me a call and we can talk. Great to support you. I'm Stan Prueitt. Have a wonderful day.